I'm Anthony Beck, the head coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks, and I'm Coach to Win.
Go get me some knowledge.
Yeah.
My tight end brother, what's up?
Yeah, I was just sitting here singing Boys to Man, Motown Philly, and I was wondering, do you ever go like Northeast Philly back again? You ever like jam out and like change the words of the song?
I did. When I was a kid, I did, man. Shit. Once I left for West Virginia, I only went back for the summers, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was Northeast living, man. Different. I still got my, everybody tells me I still got my accent, my Philly accent, so which is good, but
is there a difference between the Philly accent and New York accent and then New Jersey? Is there vast differences for those things?
I think so. I'm from Delco, so if you ever like Google Delco twang, there's all these kind of water, all these different little things that we say. But listen, you can't take out who you are where you came from, and I've always tried to be the same guy. I mean, that's for me, that's important, and it's nice if I do go home. People always say that, so Christian. I mean, at the end of the day, man, like you're only going to gain respect for people if they you're true to who you are. So I just try to live that every day, brother.
There's so many things I want to talk to you about, but you're leading me down this road. And now that you're a coach, you left the cushy job of ESPN calling college games, and you still work for the Jets doing radio, but now you're coaching the St. Louis Battlehawks. That's got to be something you try to identify in a hurry, I'm assuming, or if you don't necessarily identify, something that you express to your team.
Yeah, I mean, right now, coaching is a priority in this where I am in my life. I mean, my daughter, my son, they're in college now. I'm an empty nester. And, I started dabbling into the coaching stuff with the NFLPA Collegiate All-Star Game about a decade ago. And every year I did that, all the coaches, Mike Martz was a coach, Marvin Lewis, they're like, you need to get out of the media. You need to start coaching. You got this thing down. And I'm like, it's not I'm not ready. It's not time for me. And, I did the media stuff, and, just like we've had similar paths, like I'm in this thing. It's always competitive for me. So when I got on board with ESPN, I started at the bottom, worked my way up. And you know how these things work. Like when people start coming in laterally and you put that work in and you don't feel like you're going to hit them, that next level, maybe it's time to do something different. So, I was blessed during COVID. My son, his junior and senior year of high school, I got an opportunity to take a step back and help him coach the team that he was playing for. And man, just awesome. You have a son, so it was like the most rewarding time of my life. He wanted me to do it. I did it. And that kind of got my juices flowing. And in 2019, I was in the AAF, which was another spring league with the San Diego Fleet, and Mike Marks was there. And he asked me to be his tight end coach. And I was like, hell yeah. So my wife let me go out to San Diego for 4 months. And
was it 4 months though? I don't know if the AAF actually lasted.
Well, yeah, long. It was, I guess, 3. Yeah, we lost a month. Yeah, week 8, man, we were rolling. We're getting ready for Orlando, who was undefeated, the Apollos. And all of a sudden, we're in a team meeting, and everybody's like, "Oh, hey, we got to shut this thing down." I'm like, "What?" And I was home. I literally was on a flight the next day. Home, apartment was empty. I only had like a mattress in the place, to sleep. But yeah, it's just, I got this unique opportunity. It's a unique story how I actually got in the mix to become a head coach in this league, but just really grateful and thankful and humble. And, walked into this thing really, had expectations, but now just learning and trying to really press the accelerator button on what I'm doing. And I just love it.
Since you're a head coach, you're obviously identifying certain traits in players and you're developing your personality, right? So when you're talking to your players, what are some of the things that you tell them that is important?
Yeah, we're a little similar, in some of the ways we are. And I truly believe in the genuineness of who I am. Like I honestly, it's my job to pass on the knowledge that we've acquired. And we've been, playing double-digit years and been multiple buildings. You've been with 4 teams. I was with 5. I had 7 head coaches, 2 were fired, and got 2 more in the same season. You learn a lot, right? And I was one of those guys that just soaked a lot in. And there was a lot of things that I learned from coaches that I'd said to myself, man, if I'm ever a coach, I'm not doing it like that. And then there was some other coaches I was like, you know what, that's really good. And then I put my own kind of tie on it. But for me, it's very transparent with players. But you know what? I really am in this thing to help players raise the level, fill the holes. You know, this spring league is for guys that are right on the cusp, or guys that are actually have been in the NFL buildings but haven't been able to sustain or stay in it. How can I help them? And it's not just me. The staff I have, Christian, is phenomenal. I mean, if you look at my staff, you're talking about legit dudes that played at a high level in the NFL, but know how to coach and communicate. And they don't, sometimes, and you've been around guys like that played at a high level in the league. They have this expectation level that it has to be done that way, the only way they know it. I have coaches that have done it at the highest level, but they get the process and know how to deliver the process to help these players. And it's not just on the field. I want to help them off the field. My door is always open. I want to help these guys, learn how to be better pros, fathers, husbands, whatever that may be, because it is a full circle situation for me. And we just have a lot of information to give and help. And I've been in so many scenarios and been around players that have been through all these different, issues and situations. And I really do try to make it a full circle experience. And listen, I'm very demanding. I hold guys accountable, like your career and mine. The best ability we had was availability. We didn't miss very many games at all in our career. So we know what it takes to be a pro and really preparing at the highest level. And, if I can get that through to these guys, I give them, I have a slideshow every day. Every morning I am delivering a message that will try to make a difference for these guys. And it's poignant. It's not coach speak. It's real stuff.
Like
and
what? Give me an example. Give me an example. What'd you do? You guys played your first game on last Friday. You won. Give me an example of a slideshow that you put up there.
Yeah, I mean, like, for instance, what are some like cancers and poisons that can creep in, right? The adversities, like what types of adversities? We talk about like, how are we going to act when something goes wrong? Because something's going to go wrong in the game, right? So, are we gonna fight with our teammates? Or are we going to be able to have composure? Can we go out and be violent, but yet do it within the framework of the play and the whistle? Like I played, 10,000 snaps in my career. I never got a personal foul. Like, do we understand the selflessness play versus the selfish play? And ultimately those things, you put them together and that's what makes a great team. I'm about putting the best team together and not being reliant on one particular position. And I think that's what we've done in our third year here. And it showed in the game. We have players everywhere. We up the competition. Some of the other things when you're hitting adversity, it's like, okay, when times are tough and you start losing it, like, are you going to go back to the fourth playbook that I tell everybody to keep in the car? And that's the, do whatever the fuck I want playbook. That one's got to stay in the car. Excuse my language. I can't curse.
You're fine.
That's what it's, that's what it is. Like, keep that in the car, man. Like, you got to have composure in this game. In the defining moments, we have to be ready, and we're very, very, adamant about situational football. So we're giving these guys a lot, man, and we don't overkill it. Like, it's a day-to-day thing. Like, my message may resonate with two players in the team meeting, because I know, as an aware person, as an aware coach, that whatever I say to 50 guys, it's not going to hit 50 guys the same way. I may have to talk to Denzel Mims or Hakeem Butler or, Peta Damopenu, our defensive, differently. And I'll touch them in practice. I'll touch them in my office. So again, when you're a coach, you can't just go through your day and just think the message is clear. It's never clear to everybody. That might be a coach too, Christian. I might have to, bring one of my, positional coaches or my coordinator. Hey, we need to talk about this, and that, or how we went about something. So as a head coach, you touch everything, and I don't call the plays. So I better be on all the other things that it takes to build an organization.
Your career is great, by the way. Great college career at West Virginia. Legendary coach Don Nehlen. Was it Al Groh, then Herm Edwards, John Gruden, and then you lose me. Was it Mike Martz in St. Louis?
Yep.
Right. And then who was your coach with the Chiefs?
Well, actually, no, it was Scott Linehan in St. Louis
Scott Linehan. Okay.
half the season. Then Hazlitt got hired, and then I finished up with the. Well, then I was in Arizona with Wisenhunt, who was my original tight end coach with the Jets my rookie year, and now he's in our league as a head coach, kind of full circle in the UFL. And then my last coach was Todd Haley, who got fired midseason, and Romeo Crennel, who you'll know, came in as well. So again, just full circle, got a lot of exposure to a lot of good coaches.
It's a crazy business, man. You were on that schedule where your position coach probably really trusted you, realized that you were a smart, dependable player. Then when they get a head coaching job and you're towards the end of your career, you get that extra couple of years.
Yep.
Where that's the best role I ever had was year 13. But out of all those coaches, Anthony, which one do you relate to the most?
Yeah, well, I don't know about relate, but I mean, the coach that really sealed the deal for me was Coach Gruden. And listen, there is no fine line with Gruden. You either love Gruden or you hate him. I mean, there's no in between, right? But for me, I was never more prepared throughout the week for a football game. I always felt like when he went through the week and put the plan there, I had every answer to the test, right? So like it was almost a cheat sheet. And when I played, I played some really good football during those 3 seasons in Tampa Bay. And, I was in my fifth, was that 6, 7, 8 year, 6, 7, 8. So, I just feel like the details that he gave us as players, and he was really hard with quarterbacks, like quarterbacks, same way, like he, Gannon loved them, but they had that great relationship. But like a guy like Greasy was probably like, and Garcia, they were like, man, this is like overkill, way too much. Like let me just play ball. So, for me though, man, we just had answers to everything. And that's something that stuck with me with him. He's not the most personable guy, he's not going to build those really tight relationships. And we're very close now, but as far as just the details of football in the game, man, like that is a part of what he brought to the table that I definitely push off to the players, because a master of details is a requirement as to being a pro. You have to do your job at that level. And we talk a lot about preparation as well, because, if you're not prepared, it's very evident, especially in our league. If, we just played Houston, and Houston's very, good players, good coaches, but the first game out, it looked different, right? So it puts a stamp on what we're trying to sell to these guys. And as long as they continue to buy in, I'm going to continue to push that.
Gruden was my first guest on this show way back in October. And you're right. Like I love him. And I guess one of my requirements, a big part about this show, Anthony, is just the relationship between coaches and players. And more importantly, parents and their kids, and how the parents interact and influence their kids. Your son, Rocco, great name, by the way. But your son, Rocco, is a quarterback at Iowa State, going into this will be his 4th year. Very accomplished, great player in a very difficult place to play in Ames, Iowa, with a really good coach and Matt Campbell. I love Matt Campbell.
Excellent.
I think he really lucked out with Matt. You said you coached him when he was in high school, but what was your relationship like? What was your philosophy on nurturing him and developing him? What was your plan for him growing up?
No, well, yeah, I appreciate you saying those things. Listen, we're best friends.
Does he know that? Does he know we're your best friends?
He does, man. I'll tell you, Christian, we talk every day. Every single day. And I'm so proud of that, because I went to college. I didn't call my parents for like 2 weeks at a time. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm just so blessed that he called, and he's calling me, it's after practice where, he's talking about spring ball. But you know what, man, like, I don't want to say I pushed him, but as a young, flag football, all these things. And, I was doing media on the weekends, and I wasn't around for some of the Pops Warner stuff, and, being able to kind of nurture and guide him. And I knew those years were, they weren't critically important, because, nobody really knows. You got dad's coaching. It's supposed to be fun. And he didn't really get the playing time and all the kind of things when you're a quarterback and all those different things, because, you're running the ball more and all that. But, when he got to high school, he really did, turn it on. And it was kind of funny at COVID, when he turned after his sophomore year. So he started as a freshman on the freshman team. They went undefeated. The next year he went up to varsity, and they had a senior quarterback. And the day before training camp, he decides to transfer to the big time high school down in Tampa. So now my son, well, we weren't expecting, we're like, hey, we're going to back up this guy. We're going to learn. He gets thrusted into the starting role, and he really played well his sophomore year. And that kind of triggered him, but never lifted. He was underdeveloped, So after that season, he came to me and he's like, Dad, I want to know what it takes to be great. I want to know what it takes. And from that moment on, anything that came out of my mouth, Christian, was gold. I mean, the training, the workouts, he never flinched. He did it all. And I'm telling you, man, this kid's old school like us now. He is a grinder. He works his butt off. He's the first one in. He's the last one out. He understands the role of being a leader. All those little nuanced talks that we had about the intangibles about being a great football player, he embraces it and soaks it up. And I'll tell you, it's a blessing. This kid,
Well, you got to be proud then too,
I'm
because
telling you now, like,
yeah.
I've done some stuff like in college. I wasn't like, I was trying to find my way, hanging out, going, Friday, Thursday nights, doing my thing. Like, he is on it and he is all about it and he loves it, man. He has embraced it. And that's what it takes. Like, when you're the quarterback and you get thrusted in and you're playing major college football, like your life kind of changes. And if you either embrace it and accept it, or you don't. And he has embraced everything I've given him. And of course, our sons, if they listen to us, they do have an edge because they get to hear things much earlier and experience things, or whatever they're going through. We can talk about that thing. I remember some things, early on in college, some mental things that I would be very tough to tell my dad about, stuff like how to overcome things. And I just felt so taken back that he was willing to bring those conversations to us, because we always told our daughter and our son, right? Like, hey, when they're younger, anything, I don't care what you have done, please tell us.
Yeah.
We'll be pissed, but at the end of the day, we want to help you. And they've always been brought that. And it's a blessing for parents to have that, if you do have that, because, we can help them so much. And they know that we're in their corner. And it's been really great. And listen, he has forged his own journey, his own path. I'm in the stands, man. I got no control over anything when he's out there. So it is a stressful operation for me because I'm able to touch everything I do. I can't touch that when he's out there and playing.
Is it so weird though, Anthony, when you think about it? I don't know how you are with your kids, because all my kids play sports, all different sports, and I'm a wreck. I was never anxious. I was never fearful. I didn't care what happened to my body. Like when my girls play hoop or lacrosse or my son's playing football, I just very uneasy with everything about it. I don't want them to get hurt and I don't want them to fail. I don't know why it's such a trip. And I always call my parents. I'm like, now I know what you were going through. And I didn't think I would have that emotional feeling while they were playing, but yet I do.
No, 100%. I mean, there's an anxiety that I've never felt as a player, as a coach. I much rather do all of those things versus sitting in the stands around people that, quite frankly, don't get it, right? And you got to kind of put the blinders and the earmuffs on. And you're right. You're sitting there. When he gets sacked or goes down, you're praying he gets up because you don't want an injury. And then when your kid's the quarterback, it's like every play is in his hands, right? There's so much that can go on. But man, I've been so proud of what he's done. And listen, you're right. He's got 26 starts under his belt. He has 2 more years of eligibility. So we'll see what happens after this season. But man, he's so dialed in and focused. And man, the NIL stuff has been so rewarding for kids in college now. And when you're a quarterback, you can really just hit the ground running, and they take care of him. They love him. And he's not concerned about those things, which is great, but what a unique opportunity for all college players now.
Oh yeah. I love it. I'm telling you, what Matt Campbell has done to that program is miraculous. You did say something that I want to bring up again. What would you say to parents who are overly obsessing over where their children are at when they're in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade?
Yeah, you know what? Be patient and let them enjoy it. You can push your kids. There's nothing wrong with, competitiveness is a quality that's needed in life, right? So you gotta teach your kids about being competitive. But they will give you the signs when they're ready to be pushed, right? I think that that's the way to take it versus you deciding as a parent when to kind of push the buttons and make them do this and that and push them. So, like I told you, Rocco gave me the signal. I was loud and clear for me, and I took off and run. It was the greatest day of my life. It brought a tear to my eye, and I was like, all right, let's do it, So, but, again, like he wanted to do sports. We did a lot of flag. because he wasn't a tough guy. It was hard. There were bigger kids. He didn't get a lot of reps. I mean, until he got to high school, he really wasn't a guy. But the flag stuff was really fun for him because he was a quarterback. He got to throw, and we our system was very NFL-ish, so he got to learn a lot of cool things. So again, there was a lot of patience there, and there was, again, God bless all the parents that take the time to coach all these youth football teams. But unfortunately, it's some of them go a little overboard. Some of them don't quite understand how to bring young kids on, and that's difficult. And he went through some tough times, and I would never engage or step in. I just have to pull him to the side and say, hey, you're going to deal with a lot of different coaches in your life. You're going to have different situations come up. Like, these are learning experiences. And there were some tough times. You just don't want to be around a situation where, like, they almost want to quit, right? So
yeah, well, how do you know?
Yeah.
So when he's not playing and he's upset and he's like, oh, geez, I wish I'd be bigger, Dad, like you, and is it just because I can say it all day long and other parents can say it all day long. It's just like I want it now. Why isn't it happening now? It seems tricky. And as a parent, I'm trying to figure out, like, just how you would explain that to them without having them roll their eyes.
Yeah, I was a late bloomer. I did not, I was a really good youth football player. I was a tailback. I was like the Barry Sanders of CYO football. And then all of a sudden I went to high school and I thought I was going to be like the dude the freshman year. And come to find out, there's 5 other tailbacks there, and 2 of them who are freshmen are already practicing with the varsity. So I got to change positions. And then I had this growth spurt. I was weak. I didn't play. So I didn't really play a true game to my junior year. So I was riding the pine, waiting my turn, playing mop up. So those experiences I was able to kind of pass on as true life experiences. Mm-hmm. Now, not everybody has that. I get it. So the circumstances hey, let me tell you about me, really worked out because I had both sides of the spectrum. Being a late bloomer, I had the success stuff, but also prior to that, I had you weren't a significant person on the team, and I was there. So just pushing forward, believing in what you're doing, trusting it, and just trying to embrace it and work hard. Somebody will finally notice. That's how it happened for me, when late in my high school career, and ultimately got me to where I was, being a first round pick. So it worked out, and it's a great message that I was able to pass on to my kids.
Yeah. So 2 more things. Do you ever watch the way the tight ends are used in today's college and NFL game and just wish you had a time machine to go back, be able to have more options and be flexed out? And is any of that kind of give yourself a little, get like a twinkle in your eye when you see what they're doing now at the tight end position?
Well, statistically, it's fantastic. I mean, they're on the map now. I am still a firm believer in a complete tight end, right? I mean, if you sat in my, because I coach tight ends on our team too, being a head coach, I still have, we only have 2 tight ends because the standard is way too high and I can't deal with 3, right? So yeah. If you sat in our meetings, Christian, you'd love me. I mean, I'd be a coach you want to play for because everything, the blocking, the pass protecting, all the little things, like to be a complete tight end is a standard requirement for this football team. And, we just had our first game, and, what they did in that football game, I was just proud of because, understanding the nuances of blocking outside zone and sealing it when you can and knocking it vertically to the next level and all these things, hands inside and, being patient with your steps. Like, when they do it right, it is beautiful, and we don't throw a lot of balls to the tight ends, but they earn the right to get those balls. But you're right, the way the tight ends are playing now, I mean, look, they're not asked to do a lot of blocking. It's a different time, but man, you're right. I would have loved to, and I had that skill set. I was a much better runner early on in my career when I kind of transformed myself to a more of a blocking tight end to extend my career. Is like, man, like I wish I could have been doing some of those things. And I was in the West Coast for most of my career, so there was a lot of tight end options there. But I was drafted by Parcells. Algro was my first head coach, and they all left year 1. And then a new staff comes in, and then they get a tight end. They want, so it's like those first 5 years, even though I started every game as a Jet, those were tough because, you want to be more involved, but, they draft another guy and they're always trying to take your job, but they couldn't. So you learn a lot there. And then, but the way my path of my career went, I wouldn't change it for anything because I did recognize that my skill set did change around year 5 or 6. I wasn't the same guy. And if I wanted to stick around in the NFL, I better learn how to block at a very high level, because there won't be any value for me. And that's what extended me to that 12 years during my career.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm with you, man. I'm just wired that's just what I crave. I like the hand-to-hand combat, like being physical and all that stuff. So one question, if you could gift a young athlete, a young adult, one trait, one characteristic that you think would help them succeed in their sport and in life, what would it be?
Man, you know what? I just think competitiveness and finish. In our league, when we're looking for players, I'm not really concerned about technique. If a guy goes out and finishes from the start of the play to the end of the play, I can work with that guy, right? So guys that have that innate quality of just the competitiveness in them to go out and finish, and that's in life, finish something, finish what you're doing, right? That's the quality I think that raises up for me. And whatever you do in life, you got to finish it, man. Like, you got to see it out. And just on the football field, it is a very easy quality, intangible quality to see that really, to me, is like that guy can play on my team. I'll fix everything else. I'll get my guys to coach up all the other stuff. But if he's going to finish, that's a dude that's going to spread. That's the culture you're trying to build. So that competitiveness, that finish in someone, that I think those are qualities to me that really stand out and can really go a long way.
Yeah. Me too. And we're wired the same way. And we have the same skin tone, that righteous beige color.
Go get me some knowledge.